We're going to now move on to our second section of this unit, which is 10-2 with digits. And if you will go ahead and copy down the essential question, as always, please remember to pause the video and start it back as you need to copy your notes down. You're an accelerated class, so I should not have to highlight every single thing that you need to copy down. You should start being responsible, copying down the important information. But I am going to at least start you out for today. But as we continue with this, just remember I'm going to kind of do it less and less. How can I factor algebraic expressions is our essential question. And our topic is factoring algebraic expressions. And this goes along with digits 10.2 under the accelerated. So when you go to your work on your digits, it is under the accelerated, not the 8th grade. So if you'll pause the video to copy this information down, and if you'll continue to pause it as you progress through the video. All right, what I want you to do here, this is something called chord bites. You may have done this in the past. What I want you to do is go through answering these questions. I don't need you to copy the questions down, but if you'll take several minutes to work through these. And what we're going to do is we will go over these tomorrow. You're going to start having these periodically. So these are called chord bites. So if you'll label it in your notes, chord bites, number 1, and you're going to have several of these today that you need to work on. So if you'll do number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, and then if you will also do number, I thought there was number 6, but just 5. So if you'll pause the video, work through this, and like I said, you don't have to copy the problem down, but if you'll just answer these. And then if you will go on to the next one, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to be coming around checking your information. All right, here's the second one. If you'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and if you'll pause this so that you can work the first few, and then you can scroll down to get number 5. All right, now to get to what we're going to be working on. We're going to be working on what's called factoring algebraic expressions. We've already have talked about what algebraic expressions are. Now we're going to talk about what's called factoring. First of all, we need to talk about what are factors. Most of you know that when you multiply numbers together, for instance, if I was to multiply just 5 times 5, or let me use a different one, 5 times 3, and we get 15. 15 obviously is the answer. That is called the product. The 5 and the 3, those are the factors. So when you multiply numbers together, the numbers that you multiply together, those are called factors. So as we apply it to what we were working on yesterday, with the distributive property, the number on the outside of the parentheses and everything on the inside counts as 2 factors, or counts as the factors. So factors are numbers that multiply together to get another number. So if you'll copy this down, factors are numbers that multiply together to get another number. 5 times 5 is 25, so the factors are 5 and 5. All right, so as we talk about what we're going to be doing, factoring algebraic expressions, we first of all need to know how to factor. So what I want to do is take a minute and let's list the factors for these terms here. So if we'll list the factors of 10, 11, 12, 30x, and xy. Whenever you list the factors of a number, my suggestion is always start with the smallest number that can divide evenly into it. So for instance, 10, the smallest number that can divide any number is 1. So I'm going to say 1. 1 times 10 is 10. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start on the left side with my smallest factor, on the right side with my largest factor, and kind of work my way in. Okay, 2. 2 can go into 10, as we all know, 2 times 5. And as you'll notice, as I go from the left side in, and from the right side in, I'm meeting in the middle, and my numbers are getting bigger on the left side and smaller on the right side. And what we're going to do is wind up having all the factors listed. So the next number up is 3. 3 will not work. 4 will not work. So these are my factors of 10. 1, 2, 5, and 10. Let's do the same thing for 11. I don't need to put quite as much space. 1 times 11. 1 times 11 is 11. 2's not gonna work, 3's not gonna work, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So the only factors we have for 1 and 11, for 11, are 1 and 11. All right, let me change colors on this one. We'll start off with 12 and 1. 1 times 12 is 12. 2 times 6 is 12. 3 times 4 is 12. 5 is not going to work, so we're going to leave it as 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 12. All right, let's now go to 30x. Board's messing up, so give me just a second. All right, so let's go to 30x. This is going to work a little bit differently. We're still going to work with finding the factors of 30. So I'm going to do the same thing as I did. I'm going to start with 1 and the number itself. So 1 and 30. 2 times 15 is 30. 3 times 10 is 30. 5 times 6 is 30. So my factors are 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 10, 15, and 30. So I've taken the factors of 30, but I cannot forget that x. So what I'm going to do is in my list of factors right here, I'm also going to just put down the x. Because 30 times x will give me 30x. All right, for xy, we don't have a coefficient, so I don't need to worry about listing any numbers. But my factors for xy, think about it, what gives you xy? Just x and y. So those are the factors for xy. All right, so again, if you will copy this information down so that you have this in your notes. All right, yesterday we talked about the distributive property. When we distribute, we're going to rewrite the problem. We know on the outside we have a 5, so if you will work this problem, copy it down please. And so we know that we're going to distribute that 5 times that 2x. Then we're going to distribute the 5 times the 9. So what I'm going to do here is just show where I'm multiplying it out. So I've got, well, let me do this. I've got the 5 times the 2x plus the 5 times the 9. 5 times 2x, we all know, is 10x. Plus 5 times 9 gives you 45. The 10x has an x, the 45 does not, so those are not like terms. So that is our simplified form, 10x plus 45. That is what we did yesterday. Now what we're going to do today is pretty much the opposite of what we just did. So let's take the problem 10x plus 45. As you'll notice, this is the answer to what we just did. So we're now going to do the opposite. We're going to kind of work backwards from the distributive. So what we're going to do is we're going to write 10x plus 45 as a product, meaning we're going to factor it out. So what we're going to do is we're going to take out the greatest common factor of 10 and 45. Now, if you have to do this, go off to the side, list your factors of 10. 1, 2, 5, and 10. Y'all just pardon that bell, that bell's not for y'all. Factors of 45. 1, 3, and 15. 5, and 9. So our factors are 1, 3, 5, 9, 15, and 45. So what I want to do is I want to find my GCF. As you all know, GCF is the greatest common factor. I have a 1 in common. I have a 5 in common. So my GCF is going to be a 5. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that 5 and I'm going to put it on the outside. And I'm going to put my parentheses there. Because we're factoring, we're going to have two factors. This 5 counts as a factor, and this in parentheses is going to count as a factor. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take each one of these terms and I'm going to divide it by 5. So 10x divided by 5, that gives you 2x. I have an addition sign right here, so I'm going to put this addition sign right here. So now I'm going to take the 45 divided by 5. 45 divided by 5 gives you 9, so our factored form is 5 times 2x plus 9. And the way we did that is we factored out the GCF. Now as you'll notice, this factored out form represents that same problem we started out with. So when you distribute and get your answer, We can then take that answer, factor it out, and see if we come back to right where we started. So, if you will, you'll copy this information down. So this is where we started yesterday. This is where we are going to today. All right, let's go through this example. It says, complete the factored form of each algebraic expression. All right, here's our first one. 8a plus 4. What we did is I took out the GCF for both the 8a and the 4. So my GCF is 4, so I put it on the outside here, which is noted right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the 8a divided by 4. 8 divided by 4 is 2. I'm going to just leave that a right there. I'm going to divide that 4 by 4, and gives you 1. So our factored form is 4 times 2a plus 1. And if you will have this in your notes, please. All right, let's try this one. It's not going to work any differently than what we have done previously. Just because this one has a decimal doesn't mean we're going to do anything different. All right, but you'll notice here we have an m and we have an m. My coefficient here is 3.5. There is not a coefficient there. But if you recall, we talked about variables. If there's nothing in front of a variable, it's understood to have a coefficient of 1. In this case, that minus sign would make it a -1. But since there's nothing there that we can factor out, what I'm going to do is you'll notice the 3.5 is already there. The n is here. But what's missing? This m is missing and this n is missing. That is our common factor. If both terms have a common variable, we're going to take that variable and put it on the outside. So I'm going to put that m on the outside. So what that means is when I distribute that m times 3.5 gives us 3.5m. What did I take out of the second part? You'll notice there's the n, so that's the m I took out. Because if I multiply that back, m times n gives us that minus mn. So our answer is m as the outside factor with 3.5 minus n. And I know right here they have parentheses around it. If you want to keep the parentheses, you can, or you can write it the way I have here with parentheses. So again, I want you to copy that down. All right, let's try this one. 14x plus 21. This is a fairly easy one. What's the common factor for both 14 and 21? A lot of you know 2 can go into 14. A lot of you know 7 can go into 14. Can either of those go into 21? Okay, the 7 can. The 1, 7, and 14. Also, I have a 2 there. Those are my factors of 14. For 21, I have a 1, a 3, a 7, and a 21. All right, what's my GCF? Now, GCF is a 7, so I'm going to put it on the outside. I'm going to now take each one of these terms and divide it by 7. So 14 divided by 7 is 2. 21 divided by 7 is 3. So I put it on the inside. The first term for 14x has an x. The 21 does not. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it beside that 2x. So my final answer is 7 with 2x plus 3 on the inside. And again, if you will take just a minute to copy these down, please. And then let's do this last one. There's no coefficient, so I don't need to worry about that, but they do have the y in common. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that y out, put it right here on the outside. So if I take out a y out of this y right here, if I factor it out, what times y equals y? That's 1. If I factor out a y from the xy, what's left? I'm going to leave just that x. So my answer will be y times 1 minus x. Because if I distribute that, that's going to give me y. That's going to give me my minus xy. So again, if you will copy this part down.